Okay, we are live on a very special 75th episode edition of the Edlow podcast, and I am here with a very special guest. Hello, Piper Edlow.
Hi.
You look so excited to be here on the podcast.
Mm-mm.
No response?
No.
Oh, well, I'm excited you're here. You are my favorite first daughter, so that's perfect. And so tell me, Piper, you have just started your freshman year of high school. What's it like? Has it been different?
Feels pretty much the same because it's the same school. Only
Right,
different
right.
like areas.
Did it feel different when you moved to the high school building at John Adams when you went from sixth grade to seventh grade?
It did because, I actually had to walk from class to class then.
Instead of being in one class, you had multiple
Yeah.
classes a day. So since the high school building includes seventh and eighth grade, didn't seem pretty different. Didn't seem different, huh?
Nope.
And all the same friends and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, Piper, you have a very interesting, eclectic group of friends. How did you get to know all of your friends?
Well, most of my friends from school is because we've all been kind of going there since kindergarten. So,
Mm.
either we became friends in kindergarten or as the years went by, they kind of split up. It was me and Claire were the first friends, and then we kind of just branched out. And if you think if you're going to the school for so long together, you're gonna probably either stay friends or despise each other. So
Well,
to stay friends.
well, you know what's interesting is that I've noticed, especially with your younger sister now, that seventh and eighth, and also my younger sisters, the seventh and eighth grade are pretty rough years for girls. Some of them can get real dramatic, but I don't remember you ever having any particular problems with anybody.
Because we didn't tell you anything really. There was one big dramatic thing that was stupid, and we got over it. It was with
Oh,
Lily, but we got over
oh,
it because
yeah.
seventh grade is just dramatic.
Mm. Well, well, I'm glad you got over it because Lily's become one of your best friends.
Yep.
So, yeah. So tell me now, Piper, one of the things that I've noticed about you, and your brother hates when I say this, is that you are by far my most naturally gifted athlete.
Oh yeah, Austin has in fact spoken about that. He said, "I hate that you're good at every sport you try, but you hate everything." Because he couldn't ice skate, but I could. I just pick stuff up easily.
Yeah, well, I'll tell this story. You know this one. I remember I was tasked with teaching you how to ride a bike,
Mm.
and
Yep.
I remember walking out to the school where we were going to ride and putting the bike down, and I didn't have to do much. You just jumped on the bike and started riding, and then it was just a matter of learning how to turn, and that was
Well,
it.
it's because you remember the scooter I would use a lot. I practiced my keeping balance on that scooter so much. Like if you could have both feet on there and not fall, that balancing on the bike was pretty easy.
Yeah, but the thing that's so interesting about that is that most 6 and 7 year olds, I think you were 6 when we started teaching you, maybe we were 5, but most kids that age don't make that, like they don't connect that. So it's pretty smart that you connected
I'm
that when you were that
pretty good
little.
at keeping balance. I just fell off my scooter sometimes, and it wasn't fun. And I thought it was cool when you could just go down without having your feet on the ground because your legs get tired.
Right, right. Oh, so it was a lazy thing. Is that what you're saying? It was
No,
a lazy thing. You didn't want to put your
no,
foot
my
down and
legs
get your legs
hurt.
tired.
The leg that gets tired, it hurt when it was getting
Ah.
tired because all the weight. So I just tried to do that instead.
Mm. So your brother is right. You do tend to hate most sports, but one sport that you didn't really hate and you actually really enjoyed was soccer. And what was it about soccer that you liked?
I don't remember honestly because I was really young when we did the first soccer thing, but I don't know. Maybe it was because I guess getting energy out or something. I don't know.
Mm.
Because I remember it was the Kids Love Soccer thing that I did first.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, guess, so good at it for a young child. And I don't know, just continued it.
Yeah, I remember because I took you to the Kids Love Soccer training thing, and they had you running drills up and down the grass, and you were the fastest kid out there, boys and girls, and so everyone was like, "Ooh, we want her on the team,"
I think there
And
was
then,
only one other girl there. So
right, yeah, but you were out running
2
everybody,
boys and
including
one
the
girl.
boys.
It wasn't a lot.
Yes. So what was your favorite position to play in soccer?
I play a lot of positions, but I guess I liked goalie the most. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Why did you like goalie the most, other than you didn't have to run all the whole time?
I don't know. I guess because I got to use my hands. Because like at first it was didn't really like not being able to use my hands. When playing soccer, because you had me play basketball, which is all about using your hands. So I was used to that, and maybe because it's easier to tell where they're gonna aim than like trying to figure out who they're gonna pass to on the field.
I see. So, so now how many years of soccer has it been now? 8 or 9, right?
8 or 9 years?
Yeah.
Well, 8 or 9 seasons. No.
Yeah.
8 or 9 years. Yeah. Because there's
Yeah.
multiple seasons in a year sometimes.
Well, what did it mean to you to be on the same, essentially, I know some people moved in and out, but you were essentially on the same soccer team for 8 or
The
9
coach
seasons.
tried to make sure that he pulled everyone into that same team because I guess since we were kind of the same team the entire time, like people joining and leaving sometimes, but I guess it helps you work together better most of the time because you like know each other more, you trust each other more with that stuff. Right. And like everyone's names easily. And since everyone kind of plays similar stuff, you can kind of guess where they are, and it's just easier to play with people
Right. That's true. So tell me now, do you have any interest in playing any other sports now that you've kind of wrapped up with soccer?
I don't know, really, because I've only ever actually played besides this basketball and swimming, and those weren't really that fun. I mean, I guess
Basketball's the best.
Opinion. It's opinion. But I mean, I could try other sports, but I don't really know other sports that aren't pretty similar to those ones. Because all sports are kind of like similar in their own ways.
Yeah. Maybe you should try wrestling.
No.
That was actually one of the questions that came through. One listener asked, "What is it like to have a dad who's so into wrestling?"
You talk about it constantly. You take us to wrestling shows even when we don't want to go to them. When we were younger, I remember one of the shows that you had because you were like one of the on like the wrestling thing. I remember, and then you let Austin in the ring trying to mess with them, and we just kind of were just on there, just like I guess being able to help like the ring and stuff. I was able to do that because the last show you did, I was old enough to help. So I to see how hard it is to put together a ring.
Yeah, you had to pay your dues.
Kind of seeing behind the scenes because I had to help you a lot of that stuff since I was older.
Right.
Was free pizza.
Yeah.
There was pizza there though.
That's true. You did
talk about it constantly and mess with us saying people you obviously see we don't like are our favorite wrestler.
Oh, yeah. Well, you do love The Miz. That's true.
Love him. I hate him.
So I gotta tell this. I gotta tell this.
He's weird.
I gotta tell the story. So I took all the kids to a wrestling show, and Piper, for whatever reason, just really, really, really didn't want to go. But as she said, I make them go. I make them go, and so she went, and she was sitting there, and she was sitting there bored the whole time until The Miz came out. And the thing about it was I remember just all of a sudden during the Miz's match, and I think it was a triple threat match. I think it was the Miz versus Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor or something like that. And the Miz was the clear bad guy. And all I remember is looking over, and Piper was standing on her seat, just screaming boo as loud as she could.
Yeah, I did not like him.
Well, that's what he wanted. That's what he was supposed to do. So he was doing his job. So that's why. And so ever since then, I've joked with Piper about the Miz being her favorite wrestler because she
And you
loves
know,
him.
I
I
don't
think.
like wrestling in general, so yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You don't like anything I like. But so now let's shift gears a little bit because this last summer you had a couple of really cool experiences. You got to go to girls' camp. This was your second year at girls' camp, right? Or third?
Well,
I can't
this
remember.
is I'm a fourth level. Well, I was a fourth level, so but the first year COVID, so I didn't get to
Right,
go. And the second year
right.
they had it at the Stake Center. So this was my second year actually going to the area where girls camp, but it was technically my fourth year of girls camp.
Right. And so tell me, um, tell me what your experience was like at girls' camp.
It was fun, a little sad because I'm no longer a what they call a little sister because it's the younger group, and then there's the big sisters. I did hurt my hand there, a little bit, both
Mm,
my hands. You know the story.
right.
Right? Did we tell you? Yeah, jump.
Yeah,
It
well
was a rope.
tell the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell
Well,
the
we were
story.
at the ropes course, and I was climbing the confidence pole again, which is basically just a really tall, wobbly pole with things, and you climb all the way up, and then you have to jump off and try to touch or grab this hanging this hanging like llama stuffy that is like magnetic, and I remember last time I got a big splinter in my hand, and so one of the lady that was helping there were two adults that were there. She let me borrow her gloves, but they were like fingerless gloves, so they like stopped here. And as I jumped, I grabbed onto the rope, but because I was like falling, it like got blisters all over, rope burn.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
so that was like the night before there was like a little dance thing they had. So I was just like in pain the entire time. Yeah, I
Fun.
could barely move
Yeah.
my hands without them feeling like they were on fire, but they're gone.
Well, tell me. So tell me about, was it a good spiritual experience for you?
I mean, they're always spiritual, I guess. Yeah,
Hmm.
it was a pretty
Hmm.
good spiritual experience. Yeah.
What was your favorite part of girls' camp?
Maybe the end, I
Mm,
guess, because like you know, friends. There was like the candle thing that like put the fourth levels into Big Sister. You know,
mm.
there's also we did get to witness something. A flag, like the flag burning, like let the
Mhm.
the flag burning thing where when it's like finally out of use, the whole thing. We were there. We got to witness one of those because the
Mm.
flag wasn't in the best condition because it's out, in the wilderness. So yeah,
Yeah,
we got to see one of those, which not a lot of people get to see, I think, sometimes.
yeah. Hmm.
So yeah.
I can see that you got a little emotional there. Was there something about
I
that makes
just
you feel emotional?
anything that brings any type of emotion, my tear ducts are just like, okay, this is sad.
Well,
I'm
no.
a good girl
I think
without
it's good to
being
feel.
emotional. Even just
Yeah.
talking about being emotional, my eyes water. It's not
No, it's
because I'm
okay.
sad. It's just my body doesn't respond well to crying.
Yeah.
Sad things.
Well, yeah. Well, what was sad about it though?
And I was a fourth level going into Big Sisterhood, and I only got 2 years. So
You wish you would have had more years to do that.
yeah,
Well, so as someone, I mean, I've only been to girls' camp one time, but
because you snuck in.
but right. But tell me what's the difference between being a big sister and being a little sister?
Well, the Big Sisters are kind of like, well, first you don't really understand why it's emotional. I guess because it's so spiritual. That's why it's like thing. But the Big Sisters,
Hmm.
it's like they have different roles. They're kind of like helping the older people. They kind of sign up for what roles they can be over the little sisters. So like I could technically sign up to be over Alexi next year if I wanted to,
Mm,
just to mess with
hmm.
her. But it's like we can sign up for any of those 4 levels, which also means we have to go on the hikes, But that's a
Hmm.
you know That's a sad
I
consequence
can
of being part of it.
I know you love the hikes. You made it very clear.
Yeah, and before we could like sign up for programs and stuff, it's just basically being the big sister of the little sisters, just
So so
there helping them. So next
you're
year we
more
need to
almost
light the candles of the fourth levels, and I'm probably gonna end up based on like who's there, and usually you have your older sibling do it if you're there, but if not, you go like a close friend. And since like a lot of my close friends are in there, I was like, a lot of them have siblings, but Sydney doesn't. So I was like, I probably will do Sydney's and like one of my friends. And so it's just a sad spiritual thing for some.
Yeah. So it sounds like a big sister is more of like a leadership role, almost like a camp counselor.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fun. That's interesting. It's just part of life growing up, So
Yeah.
that's good. And I hear there's a pretty good testimony meeting that happens towards the end of girls' camp, right?
Oh yeah. So basically you split up into your wards because it's
Mm-hmm.
like a stake thing. So it's like your own
Mm-hmm.
wards.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically you just bear your testimony with everyone in your ward, and you just like say your spiritual feelings there. And then sometimes they ask you, because there's a testimony meeting the next Sunday, like the next day after we return. And basically they usually ask some of the like the girls from girls camp to ask, or they just have one big testimony meeting for any of the girls to go up, and then they just can bear their testimony there as well, just basically saying how they were feeling and why, just the spiritual feeling they felt there.
And for people who might be listening to this who aren't members of the church, so a ward would be like a congregation, and a stake would be a group of congregations. And so when did you say something at the testimony meeting?
Yeah, most people did. Some people like couldn't because they were like so emotional, or they just didn't know what to say. But most people did have like some form of words they wanted to say, and I also did bear my testimony there. Yeah, Lexi did too, which I honestly thought she would have skipped it, but she did as well.
Yeah. Well, you talk about Lexi a little bit, and I know you kind of razz her sometimes. But why you could talk about what does it mean to you to be a big sister to Lexi?
Well, now I'm a double big sister here because I'm her older sister, and I'm also a big sister, which means I can technically be over her group, and she has to hang out with me constantly throughout the week. But it's probably not that much different because I'm like, because most of the time they're not even with the big sisters, except for like certain points in the day. And so I guess it's just weird having her at girls camp now because she was at first level. And so like for the next 3 years of big sisterhood, by final year, I think will be her final year, like by final or second to final will be the year she becomes a big sister. So it'll be weird that I'll be able to be there when she is,
Yeah.
And that's what I think. It's like just a weird thought.
How weird is it going to be when Lexi starts going to church dances with you?
Honestly, we probably won't hang out together. She also said she doesn't really want to go to them. So I might not even have her there.
Well, she says that now, but when her friends
like with
start
girls
going,
camp, she said she didn't want to go, but then like she talked about how she like is glad she went because she made a lot of friends there. She just thought she wouldn't have any friends there. So.
Well, and Piper, also you may not remember this, but I remember you telling me you didn't want to go to dances, and then all your friends started going, and then you started going, and now you go to most
well, I
of them.
didn't really want to go to dances because I'm one of the older friends in my group. So I was turning 14 a year before my other friends in the stake. So basically, I had a whole year of dances where none of my school friends were going, and a lot, like half of that year, none of the church ones, like none of my friends from church were going either. So I was kind of just like there by myself, and so it wasn't really that fun until they started going.
Well, that's one thing that actually came up, because one thing that I really love about you, Piper, is that you make a point to invite your friends who are not members of the church to come to activities like church dances and firesides and young women's and what is it that what is it that makes you want to do that? Why do you like sharing gospel things like that with your friends?
Well, honestly, I think it's because, like, well, I already hang out with my church friends every week, and I know I hang out with my school friends like all week, but like we don't share a lot of classes. In our school, they don't have a lot of dances, and they're not always
Mm,
that fun. So I'm just kind of like inviting them because my friend, like Lily especially, she kind of like talks about how she wishes there were more dances. And so I
mm,
kind of just said, maybe she might want to go to these dances because they're fun. They're better than the school ones. It's longer.
mm.
It's just more fun. And so I was just like, more dances.
Yeah. Well, but I've also noticed that some of your friends also like, occasionally have wanted to come with you to church or young women's and stuff like that. What is it about the gospel that you like sharing with your friends?
Um, I guess I don't know. Like usually it's Lily because like we had a sleepover and stuff, and so she's fine with going, kind of thing. But
Hmm.
like I guess it's fine because she kind of sees things from my point of view. Like she understands, like we don't drink coffee or tea and stuff, and like she doesn't really make a point to point it out and stuff. And she's seeing things from our point. And like
Mm.
times I'll just kind of explain certain things if something happens, like this and this, and she understands. It's kind of seeing things from our point of view, really.
Yeah. One of the questions that came through from a listener was, what is it about the gospel that's your favorite?
Knowing that we're not alone, I guess. Because
Yeah.
there's like times where we're really sad, and it's
Mm.
just sometimes I've had that feeling where I realize I'm loved.
Yeah. Well, you are loved,
Yeah.
you're loved by your family and you're loved by God. You got lots of friends that love you too, you
Yeah.
know, and all your leaders love you. I hear about it all the time. I got to hear about how great Piper is and how great Austin is and how
Yeah.
great Lexi is. And I'm like, I'm glad they're great for you. So,
Yeah.
another quick thing. So, you went to FSY, which I think that stands for Strength of Youth, right? And
Yeah.
so it's a 1 week kind of church
It's
camp.
like girls' camp, but a bunch of people, and
Well,
not
and
just
boys, and yeah, boys go too, right? Yeah.
yeah.
So, talk about your experience at FSY. What was that like?
Well, at first, I didn't know how it was gonna go because my roommates weren't anyone I knew, and no one. I only knew like two people in my company, which is basically the group of people you're with almost the entire day. Um, and they weren't people I was like too close with, but I go to girls camp with them, so I talk to them. I'm friends with them. It's just not as close with as other people. So I honestly didn't know how I was gonna go, especially since Austin talked about how boring it was. And I guess during the free time, it's not the best because there's not much you can do. But it was honestly more fun than I thought it was gonna be because
Mm.
like there was like two dances in the week, and you made a lot of friends. You could kind of there was a lot of good food there, and it
Mm.
was like kind of there was just a lot of stuff that made it fun, really.
Mm. So one of the questions that came through was, what was your favorite part of FSY?
I guess the friends I made because I still keep in touch with some of them. Like some of them, I was able, like the people I was closer with. I have
Mm.
their numbers and I text and just kind of my friends, and I guess that was fun. And honestly, the devotionals weren't that bad either. I thought they were gonna be really boring, but they were actually pretty interesting. So
Mm.
yeah.
Would you encourage other young people to go to FSY?
I definitely think it is a good option to go at least once because there's a lot of people kind of like around the world that go to these. Like there was a lot of people from across America. I think there were like two people that weren't even from America that went to this one. And it was just like it's a lot of different people you meet, and I did meet someone that's from Roseville,
Mm.
and it's like you meet people that are close and far. It's just a lot of different people, and you'll make great friendships, and you know the devotionals are things you could definitely learn a lot of things from. I think it's a good idea to go at least once, But I'm definitely going to go again.
Yeah. Are you? So I hear, and I don't really know. I've had to look into it. There used to be, when I was younger, it used to be EFY. And I think they still have EFY. Would you still want to go to the same FSY, or would you want to try a different one?
I'd probably want to go to the same FSY because, I mean, it's different places. This one, it was close enough where we could drive there, but there are some times where you have to like fly there, and I think it's cool that you get to go see different places as well, and just kind of it's fun, and that way I'd be able to see some of my friends again, make new ones, probably just go to FSY.
Going back to your sister Lexi, I wanted to ask you, what do you think your role is as a big sister to Lexi?
To mess with her.
Well, you're good at that. You've mastered that.
Just mess with their younger siblings all the time, But I guess it's like your family. You're gonna mess with each other. But it's also like I warn her of things at school that I like went through, or that like the teachers that kind of like warn her, because I guess being the older one, you can warn them of the things that are going to happen and stuff. Like some teachers she has that I didn't have, because like they move teachers around. But there are teachers that I've had that I can like kind of tell her, just make sure you do this and do that, because she's middle school now.
So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, well, before I go switch gears, I want to follow up on what you just said. So, but what are some of the things that you think that a big sister should do to kind of protect their little sisters?
Just, I guess, make sure they understand things that you learn. Like, it's good to teach them the things you had to learn the hard way and stuff, so then they don't have to go through everything, I guess, because she went through drama, but that was 6th grade, and so hopefully that means she won't go through 7th grade. But I did warn her to try to like be good, like to try not to cause much drama in 7th grade, because it can happen, even whether you like it or not. It's just, I don't know, really.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you helping her out with some of these things, because you do have that role. You do have the role of being a couple years older and a couple years wiser, so you can help her out with those things. And I know you love your sister and she loves you. And so even though you give me the face, you're like, well, I guess I love her. But, the thing that's going to be great as a dad, the thing that's going to be great is I know that when you guys get older, that you guys are going to be really close.
I always thought, based on your stories, you and Uncle Zach were close for a while.
Well, Uncle Zach and I were not really close when we were kids. Uncle Zach and I, we were a little bit more spread out than you guys as far as our time. Like, he's 5 years younger, so we were never really in the same time frame. Like we were never in the same, like, it's not like we were ever really in school together. And I didn't go to a K through 12, so he was never in the same school as me, really. So we didn't have the same friends and know each other. We were never in young men's together. So, we just never really got close. And then same with me and Aunt Tori, because she was 10 years younger. It wasn't until we all became adults that we kind of became closer and hang out and invite each other places and stuff.
And you and Sammy aren't ever that close. You just mess with her.
Well, yeah, it's hard when you're 20. She's more closer to your age than she is mine.
Yeah,
and
6
so
when Austin was born, right? Or like.
Yeah, no, she's 20 now, so she was 3 or 4. Yeah. So, yeah. So, but anyhow, so let's shift gears a little bit. I want to talk to you. You are quite the artist. You've gotten into a lot of different art. And one of the questions that came through was, what kind of art medium do you prefer?
Well, I usually do I do a lot, honestly. I don't really prefer one. It's just using pencils is the easiest one to do during school. But I do like pencils, color pencils, markers, digital, and painting. It's just I kind of am like pretty broad. It's just using pencils is the easiest one to do during school and just like a quick sketch.
Yeah. Do you uh so I've noticed your paintings and they're very, very good. Obviously, you got them hung up everywhere. Do you hope to do something with that as you get older in life, or is it just a hobby and having fun?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's like a side thing, but I know it's very hard to make it as an artist. And like I know I probably wouldn't like be able to, but like probably as like a side thing. I don't know about paintings because paintings are very difficult, but like maybe
Mhm.
just simple drawings, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, going back to the siblings thing. Did I ever tell you about the story where me and Uncle Zach messed with Tori's baby doll?
I don't think so.
She had this baby doll that she used to love. This is when we were living in Rustic Road, and uh, which is right down the street from where Grandma and Grandpa live now. And we were, she had this baby doll, and she was just so annoying with it for some reason. And Zach was particularly annoyed with her, and so she left with Grandma somewhere, and we were home alone. And so we took that baby doll and we wrapped a noose around its neck and hung it from the top of the stairs
That's where
from the
Austin got the
chandelier.
idea, wasn't it? You did that to Lexi. Like
she
Lexi
she
told me.
came she came home and she freaked out. Oh, yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah,
Another
that's
funny, I
actually where
know.
Austin got the idea to do that to Lexi's American Girl doll. He did that. He hung her from the basketball like hoop with a rope around its neck, and
the,
Lexi freaked out.
the other one that was really funny was uh uh one time Grandma left me and Zach home alone, and I convinced Zach to put ketchup all over his. He took off his shirt and put ketchup all over his chest, and then put a knife and stuck it in his armpit and laid on the ground like this. She came home. Yeah, we did a lot of weird stuff. We were having fun. Anyway, so it wasn't all. We had some fun even when we were younger. Anyway, um, now back to your art. So one of the things that I think is interesting about your art is that you are you became a drummer, and you actually became a drummer of a girl rock band. You played for a little while.
Yeah,
What made you want to try the drums?
I don't know. Just seemed fun, easier than the guitar. I tried guitar. It's pretty difficult. Um,
Mm,
I don't know. I've seen like shows and stuff where like a character plays drums and it's just looks pretty cool, so I just tried
mm.
it.
So with with the drums, one of the questions that came through. Well, tell us more about it before we do that. What was the name of your rock band?
It was Transparency.
Yeah. And you guys played some shows and actually won an award.
Yeah.
What'd you win?
I think it was best all around. It was like from the younger and older group. Yeah,
Mm.
it's funny because it's good, I guess, that I was a drummer because I am significantly taller than both of them. They're twins, so they're pretty close in height, and I'm like
Mhm.
barely in the age. I'm like I should be in like the high school section, but because they're both younger, um, we were in the younger section, and so because I'm like sitting down, I'm like only a little taller than them because I'm also in the back. But when we're
Mm.
standing next to each other, I'm like over a head taller than them.
Mm.
So I guess being in the back, sitting down is definitely a good thing. It's like we have a picture up there from when we got like the first level plaques from the song thing, the songwriting, and you can just see that I'm way taller than them.
Yeah. Well, did you have a good time while you were in the band?
Yeah. If
And
if like they're taking a break because softball in school,
mhm.
but when they
Meaning the two other girls in your band, you mean?
yeah, and so like when if they decide to join back, then gonna join back when they come back.
So if the girls come back, the other girls come back from softball, you would be willing to come back and join the band again.
Yeah, well, it's not like I left the band. It's kind of like that since they're taking a break. That was kind of like a big part of like why drumming was so fun, because like the lessons weren't the best. I don't know. They weren't not the best. It was just it would get boring eventually, you know? And that's why I am also still on list in case anyone needs a drummer. But I am like stopping like a break for now because it's not as fun unless like you're in a band or something, like learning drums for that reason.
Right, right. So what one of the questions that came through was what kind of music do you most enjoy playing?
Honestly, I like a lot, but I think I don't know if it's like put into the pop section, but like more of the upbeat songs, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different types, whether they're older or newer songs, just kind of like those more upbeat. Like I'm just better at playing things when they're a little faster because I can keep the tempo of the beat a little easier than if it's slow. Because when it's slow, we've noticed that we start speeding up for slow songs. And so like all together, like all three of us are just upbeat songs people. Like especially me, it's the drums. It's just easier to play.
What were some of this you wrote a song, but you also played some cover songs. What were some of the cover songs you guys
It was
played?
Stand By Me and 1,000 Years were two of them. I think we were, I don't know if we finished another song, but I do know we were working on God Only Knows for King Country and like one other song of theirs. And we had like a list of things we were going to work on.
So drumming is not necessarily off the table. You're just taking a break because your bandmates are playing softball.
Did you think it was off the table?
No, I didn't think that it was I didn't think it was off the table. I just thought that, when we went for a little while and you and I went to go buy a drum kit and you didn't necessarily want it. And I just assumed that maybe you weren't as interested in drums anymore as I thought.
It's just like, I didn't know if I'd end up practicing and stuff. And so, because they're expensive, I wanted like, if I get more deep into it and I know it's a definite, like, this is going to be a very long thing and I'm actually genuinely going to practice, and everything. Because if it's just a week thing and it's just like a practice once a week, I didn't see the point of getting one. Versus like if we did a lot more stuff and like I genuinely needed one to like practice a lot and stuff because they are expensive.
So the brand Transparency, your guys' favorite local girl band, they're on a little bit of a break, but the reunion tour may happen. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll see what's going on. But you've heard it here first. The drummer Piper Edlow is open to the reunion if the rest of her bandmates want to do it. A few new songs, but mostly the hits. That's what we'll hear. So how about that? What is your favorite kind of music?
I honestly like pretty broad amount. Like if I go through like my playlist, like a Spotify playlist, it's a very big variety of different.
Like Metallica, right? No. Metallica's in there, and Metallica and Guns N' Roses, and no, oh, nothing your dad likes. Okay, all right.
None of those songs. You overplay them a lot.
I don't overplay them.
Yeah, I think knowing like the full lyrics and like the like how it's sung of one song means it's overplayed.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's your favorite recording artist right now?
Lovejoy's pretty good.
Lovejoy.
You don't know the band, but they have a couple good songs.
How do you know I don't know the band? I'm hip.
I've mentioned them around you before, and you didn't know who they were. Well,
I feel as though I've given you a pretty good eclectic lesson in history of some of the most awesome types of music. 80s and 90s music is where it's at. Anyway, moving along. So
they play those at dances too, right?
Well, of course they do, because it's the best.
I still hear a lot of 80s and 90s songs without you.
Yeah, but I'm the one who introduced you during breakfasts and all those things, and car karaoke, which I know you love. It's one of your favorites. Um, so now another part of art that you really enjoy is you are out of all of this your siblings, you are the most avid reader, which I really appreciate. So, what kind of books are you into?
Fantasy, really?
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
anything involving magic or like kind of just like a magical feel to it. And
Uh-huh.
someone's asked me once like why, and I
Hmm.
think it's just because there's no limit to what can happen as long as they install their own rules, you know? As long as
Hmm.
they have their own rules in there and that makes sense and stuff, anything can really be possible. So you never know what's going to happen because it's their own
Hmm.
story. They choose, especially when it's like a completely new world. You can't expect everything. You can't suspect what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. So one person asked, which fantasy book, character, or series is your favorite?
Well, there's like a couple series like Harry Potter, Keeper of Lost Cities. There's quite a few. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to pick a favorite because I have favorite standalone book and then a few like favorite like series and stuff. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One person asked, it's a little bit of a different question. Which fantasy book, character, or series has helped you deal with the infuriating unfairness of life the most,
Mm,
and why?
I don't know really. I mean, I guess if I had to pick one that does have like lessons,
Hmm.
like that I can pick out. I guess one is All This Time, which I did hear they
Hmm.
might be turning into a movie, which I'm very excited about if they do. But it's kind of like showing that e- even like when big problems happen and you like blame yourself constantly, that they will get better, you know?
Hmm.
It will get better, and even if you like think it's gone, you can always just find something good. And just because you have it doesn't mean you can't lose it. And so you got to
Hmm.
make sure you enjoy it while you have it.
Those are good lessons to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's true. You know, we've all gone through some hard times. You know, we all. I know you guys have all had to go through a lot, and but you know things do get better. Sun always rises, and the good news is so far you've survived 100% of the bad days. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll continue to do that, and I think you're a pretty amazing human, Piper Edlow. So now another thing, talking about books, let's go on to my favorite movies. Oh, before we go on to movies, though, let me ask you. So, do you pick your books by like do you have like favorite authors or just favorite book series? Like if you know somebody's an author, like you talked about Rebecca Ross as being one of your favorites. Like if she writes a book, are you excited even if it's not in the series that you like?
I'm maybe if I knew she wrote another one, because I've read all, like, she has, that I know of, three books. Two of them are in a
Hmm.
series, and one is like a separate book. So I know that I probably, if I knew, I might read it. But a lot of the books that I end up liking, I've gotten for my birthday or Christmas. A lot of
Hmm.
them are from Zach, actually, because he doesn't know what else to get me. So he just gets me fantasy books. Uh, like, for example, Percy Jackson. I didn't think I was gonna get into that. Like, I watched the movie, and Austin was pretty big in that area for a little bit, and he
Hmm.
talked about how bad the movie was. But since I never read the books, I was like, it's fine. I don't know what it is. A lot of people might not like me for that, but I thought it was a fine movie.
Hmm.
But then Zach, like he gave me The Lost Hero because one of the characters has my name in it. That was the entire reason he gave it to me. One of the characters has my name, which is actually where one of my friends got her nickname for me. So that's fun. Um,
Mm.
yeah,
Which is
but
what? What's the
it's
nickname?
no, I'm not telling you this because
Tell me the
no,
nickname. This is
Bella.
I'm learning all.
has the nickname, so you can ask her.
I'll ask Abella what your nickname is.
Yeah. But like, and they gave it to me, and I was reading it, and I didn't even realize that it was a Percy Jackson book after they said Annabeth's name until they said Percy Jackson. But I was already too into the book to stop reading. So like, it's just they giving me like just being given books that are fantasy related. Most of the time, I enjoy them. Some of them have really annoying endings where I won't continue reading them. Like The Darkest Minds, after reading the 4th book, I was like, okay, I like where this ends. I'm not reading any further because there's a lot of stuff. But a lot of the times I do enjoy the books I get, and that's where I kind of get good books.
Did you accidentally slip and tell me the nickname? Was it Annabeth?
No, Annabeth is one of the characters in the book.
You said the nickname comes from the book. I assume it was a character.
Yeah.
But not that character.
A nickname for the character Piper.
Okay, I will follow up with Abella. Okay, now back to now to movies. So you are quite the Studio Ghibli fan, and why do you like Studio Ghibli movies?
I don't know. It's like they're good movies. They have good stories, and the art style it's a very like I don't know. When in art we watched Ponyo, I think was the one she chose. Like during finals time because we didn't really have many things to do because we were almost done. We've been working on it for a week because it's art. And I just like thought how calming the art style is. Like it's not busy. The backgrounds, they always like, it's not too detailed. And so you can focus more on the actual characters and it's just a calming art style. And I really like it.
What do you mean?
In that art style.
Well, here's the thing that's interesting is because I know a lot of people who like Studio Ghibli. In fact, a lot of questions came through when I mentioned that you'd be talking about Studio Ghibli. That's where a lot of questions came from. But I've never understood why people like them. So what do you mean that it's calming? When you watch other movies, like, do you feel anxious or anything?
Even animated movies, it's just the backgrounds are busy a lot. You know, they're trying to fill it. And like the colors are bright and stuff, but they always like, I guess they understand color theory. I don't, because not a lot of artists do. I think it's very confusing, but they always like pick colors that like go together well. They're not too busy. Like I use busy a lot, but it's like it's not full of a bunch of colors. They use like lighter, like toned down colors that match well, and like. Since the story, the music is not too busy. Like the ones I've watched, a lot of the times they're not too full of action like others might be. And so it's just calming because it's not as like in your face, try to focus on everything at once. It's more focus, like you can focus on the actual story rather than like, oh, this is taking my eye off of it. There's a lot of things going on,
Sure. So one of the questions, mainly the questions surrounding Studio Ghibli were all basically the same, which is what is your favorite Studio Ghibli movie?
Well, there's like 2. I mean, Secret World of Arrietty was a good one. I started watching it like one of my friends on the way to a field trip. They had the little car, the video things in their car, and we started watching that, but we never got to finish it, and it really annoyed me for years on end. But you guys know because I kept asking if we could get the movie until finally it was like I think it's on Hulu, so I finally got to finish it. But I know another one, like for a while since I was young, was Ponyo, because we used to have like Wii Netflix thing. I don't remember why, but we did, and I remembered like a specific scene from that. And so it was like, it was always in my mind. And when I watched it, it's just a really good movie in general.
I see. Okay. So Ponyo, and what was the other one again?
Secret World of Arrietty.
Ah, okay. And what is it about those stories that you like?
Well, Ponyo is kind of like magical. There's a lot of things, but it's like at the same time, it's a simple story. You can follow it really easily. You kind of get it. Some things don't make too much sense, but you can still follow the story pretty easily. And it's honestly not that big, like, oh, they're trying to do this or that. It's just kind of like just a simple, like, I don't know how to put it, but it's not like a big ending. It's just really simple. And the Secret World of Arietti, it's definitely magical as well, but it's looking at the world from a different perspective because it's like about like small people, basically borrowers. We have the books. We do. I've read like the first and second one of them. And it's just kind of like looking at the world from different eyes.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So another question that came through was, other than Studio Ghibli, what would you say is your favorite movie?
I really have a hard time with this because there's a lot of movies I like, but there is one movie that I've liked for a very long time that you definitely know I like. Is Jumanji. It's a really good movie. Jumanji and Hook are two good movies, probably because of Robin Williams. I really like Robin Williams. He's a good actor.
And he looks like Grandpa.
Yeah, he does look like, well, Grandpa looks like him. So, but
you recently watched Patch Adams, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I knew kind of like the storyline because it comes up randomly on like different things, but watching it all together, it does honestly. He portrayed it so well. It just felt like he was like the character. He portrays the characters really well. He's also known as the improv king, so a lot of it is definitely more natural things that he put in himself.
Yeah. Well, especially as the genie in Aladdin, he made that movie great.
That was like the first and maybe the last time I actually learned the fact that the animators animated around his improvisations. Like they already animated it and he's supposed to put it in, but sometimes he would improv and then they would animate around it to fit it in. Like some of his impressions when he changed into he kind of changed to look like the impression he was giving, he would just make them and then they would animate around it to fit his improvisations. And there was this one other movie that I haven't watched, but I've seen stuff from it. Is Good Morning Vietnam, I think. I learned. I watched this one long thing about like Robin Williams' acting career, kind of, and it showed that every take he would do that, he would improv a whole new like radio thing, and that's why they were laughing so much in the background. Those were like genuine laughs because each time it was a different thing. It wasn't getting boring. They just gave him all the rights to write whatever, and he didn't even write it down. He was definitely a good actor.
Yeah, he was a really funny comedian. When I was your age, he used to do this thing with Billy Crystal and Whoopi Goldberg called what was it called? It was for the homeless, Comic Relief. And they would do it on HBO, and those three would run it, and then all the comedians would come on and do like a set, and they would try to raise money for the homeless. And he did some really funny improvisations in there. Probably not kid friendly, but it was really funny what he did.
See something on that. I don't know if I got the exactly right, but I'm pretty sure he was like at least on one episode of Whose Line Is It Anyways? Which it was really funny because I saw it and I was like, "Oh, Dad loves this show," and it showed another one with Friends, which I was like, "Oh, Mom loved it." And there's an episode where they're in there and that was not written in. Him and like his other coworker, they were just like walking by the open set and they just kind of invited him on, and so they improv in the scene, and so the actors didn't know how to continue the scene. It was really funny. Yeah, I didn't watch a lot of Friends, but you could definitely see he enjoyed messing with them in that.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. It's too bad that we lost him. Yeah. So, well, listen, I have some other questions here from people that I thought, some kind of random stuff. So let's see if we got them. Here's one. First one. What is your favorite color?
Purple. It's always been purple.
It always will be. Yeah. You're purple.
You remember like when I was young and you'd ask me, right? Yeah. It's always, for some reason, I don't know what it is. Like other colors have gotten close, but purple's always been like on top. I don't know. It's just a thing my mind is set on. I mean, like green's gotten close because purple and green kind of match well, but purple's definitely the
Well,
top.
if there's one thing everyone needs to know about Piper, it's when she gets her mind set on something, you're not going to change it. So, what is the last thing you ate?
I had two, like, you know, the weird like toast Eggo things. Like they
Yeah,
look like
yeah,
4 little toasts connected.
yeah.
We have like
Mm-hmm.
those cinnamon like Eggos, and I had that with jam and some chocolate syrup because chocolate syrup is good on those. We were out of
Nice.
Nutella, so
Yeah. I'll put it on the list. What's the worst food you've ever eaten?
cauliflower. I don't like cauliflower. Well, it was also like by itself. It's like the only vegetable I've tried that I don't like so far. Because I know there's probably others that it'll be, but cauliflower is like the one that's always been in my mind of this was really gross.
So, yeah, well, you know how I feel about vegetables. So,
School lunch did have a really bad lasagna. It tasted like barf and tomato soup. So that definitely goes over cauliflower now that I think about it. Yeah, no one liked it. My friend said, it tastes like dog food. And I was like, no, it tastes like this. And she's like, yeah, I just didn't know how to describe it. It's funny.
Well, he had a couple just statements. Let's see. One, you a homie. I don't know what that
That's
means.
probably Austin's friend or random teenage boys being weird.
Probably. Someone said you have good style. So that's a interesting one. You're cute. Marry me.
People are weird like that, yeah.
Is it?
They also probably think I'm older because I've heard some people think I'm older than I am. So,
is there something you're not telling me? Is there somebody I don't know about?
No.
I won't name them on air, but I have a suspect. Anyway.
No,
so,
I've told you this before. No, never.
Well, okay. Here is an interesting question that came through anonymously. Who's your crush?
I don't have one.
You don't have a crush.
Mm-hmm.
You've all heard it here first. All these broken hearts out there. Piper doesn't have a crush.
Even if I did have one, there's probably people at school that like watch these for Austin and stuff. So like if I did have one, why would I name it on air? I don't have one, but if I did, why?
I'm just asking the questions.
I know.
That's
I also
all.
feel like maybe you were one of the anonymous ones.
I didn't. No. That was not from me. I've asked you many, many times this question, and I've never been able to crack the code. But, let's see. What are 3 things that make you smile?
I don't know. I guess I'm just like easily entertained. I don't know. Like even when I don't like something, like even if I don't think it's funny, it's the person's reaction will make me like smile and laugh, and then they will think I'm laughing at their like bad joke when it's really the way they think it's funny. Like there's people at school that make some really bad jokes, but the fact that they laugh so much at it and like the other people laugh like a lot, they laugh really loudly a lot. It's like so stupid. It makes me like laugh and smile. And then they're like, oh, she thinks this is funny. And it's just that. But
I'm feeling attacked.
I don't know. The reactions of people with their own stupid jokes. Someone here knows.
Hey, my jokes are amazing. So
my friends, because they do some, if they're listening, oh well, they know this. They do really stupid things that are funny, like especially at lunch. Like there's like an area we sit at lunch, and a lot of really weird things happen, like throwing rocks at each other. That's a thing they do. Not like actually genuinely, but they'll throw a bark at like each other genuinely, but like they'll mess around. It's like it's stupid. And then I guess a third one, it's just like I don't know. Dark jokes are funny. I don't know why, but dark jokes are funny.
Yeah. You got a dark
Yeah.
sense of humor. That's true. I've seen it.
Yeah.
So okay, so a couple more questions. Um, Someone keeps asking what in every one of these Q&As, what's your opinion on birds? What's your opinion on birds?
Birds are cool. I like birds. Ducks and geese, cool. They're really cool. Yeah.
Good,
My friends
good.
had me a really weird picture of a duck. And it was kind of funny because it was just like a drawing, but it was like a duck dinosaur stepping on like buildings, and it was really funny for some reason. Yeah. It's just I just like ducks and stuff. They're cool. They're chill. And like baby chickens.
Nice. Here's an interesting question from a listener. On a lot of the dad joke videos, you're playing video games. Which one is your favorite to play?
I honestly don't have like a favorite, but I do like play Minecraft and Human Fall Flat a lot. Human Fall Flat is
Human
just
fall
kind of like
flat?
it's funny, stupid things. You remember the one with like the weird like creature things? They're like climbing the wall and stuff. That was like that's Human Fall Flat.
Oh, okay.
It's funny because like climbing the wall is really hard, but the characters look really like funny and stupid when you do. So yeah.
Here's a question. Do you actually think your dad is funny?
Mm-mm. No. It's your reaction. See right there? You think your jokes are hilarious and your laugh is stupid.
So here's another question that came through. What's your favorite dad joke?
I have my own dad jokes, not your jokes, but I know a lot of puns that are really funny. I don't have a favorite, but I do like mess with my friends by making like puns and jokes, and they hate it, but they laugh.
You mean that you tell your friends dad jokes?
They're not dad jokes if I tell them.
But they are
But
dad.
I
You
was telling them
see,
long before you even tried.
your sense of humor comes from right here. I take all credit.
Nope.
Okay, here's a interesting one. What's your biggest pet peeve?
One of them, I guess, is like when I'm like sitting somewhere, even if it's in public, I don't care if they're in the room when I'm watching, but like Austin will come in and watch what I'm watching while making a sandwich. I don't really say much if he's just gonna leave, but he sits there, watches it, and then he's like, "This is stupid. Why are you watching this? You should change it." Like saying what I'm watching is stupid and he doesn't like it and that I should change it, even though he's gonna leave. And he specifically doesn't leave because like he knows I'm annoyed. It's annoying. Like I don't care if they're in there for a short time, but like them like watching over my shoulder and then complaining about it. And then they're like, "Well, this isn't your room. You can't control it." Yeah, but I can ask them to leave because they're getting annoying.
Well, what is it you said earlier? It's the responsibility of the older sibling to mess with the younger one.
Yeah.
So
But
there
Austin
you go.
shouldn't be doing it to me like that. Like he knows. Like he should be complaining about what I'm watching when I'm watching it specifically about me, like what I want to watch.
Got it. So you feel as though you should dictate.
No, that's not like messing with him. That's just being straight up rude. Like what you're like he calls a lot of things I watch dumb and stupid, and that's fact. Like because apparently there's facts to opinion. So.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine one of my children having very strong opinions that they believe are true. I wouldn't know anybody like that at all. Anyway, okay. Okay, so here's thanks for this one. This comes from Grandma. Other than dad jokes, what's the one thing about your dad that annoys you the most?
You're really like weird and like gross sometimes. Like you're dancing around us. Like you always do like weird dance moves. Or like you think, oh, because I'm a dad, I have to like burp really loudly around everyone. Or like just be really gross around us because you think it's funny.
It is funny.
It's
hilarious. It's fun. Just as it is the responsibility of older siblings to mess with younger siblings, it is the responsibility of a dad to be gross. So, all right, here's a more fun one. what has been your favorite dad-daughter adventure?
Hmm. I don't know, honestly. Because they're all like, we do a lot of like the similar stuff. Like, you try to beat me in VR, and I win a lot of different games against
Mm,
you. Um,
mm. I don't know.
I
I don't
know
know
there
where
were
that.
like ones when I was younger that I don't really remember a lot, but I do know there were some. There was that one time, it's not my favorite, but there was that one time where you convinced me to stick my head into a statue, thinking it would have been a funny picture, and getting my head stuck in there.
I
And
do.
then you won't like be like, oh, that wasn't me, that was Austin. Austin was too young to tell me to do that.
That was a monster mini golf, the shark head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Just put it down.
I didn't know your head was shaped like that.
You saw that my head, it was like my head barely fit into it, and they like curve inward. So it's harder to
Yeah,
get my head out. It's not smart to
yeah.
tell your child to stick their head in a statue in the first place when you know they're going to do it.
And that was
I'm
one
pretty
of
sure you
those
probably still
questionable.
have the picture too.
I do. That was probably one of the questionable ones. Anyway, it's in the past. You didn't die. You're fine. Okay, so um now uh so of course, well, first of all, before I go into that, let me ask you, here's another one that I forgot to ask you. So what would be your advice for a young woman who is a member of the church, who's 14, who is uh, struggling with mental health?
I guess just maybe asking, like even just like talking to a friend can help. Like, you don't even need to go to like a therapist sometimes. Sometimes you definitely do if you've had like genuine like problems happen to you. But like, I know just like talking to someone about like even little things, or just like having someone to talk to about like anything, just like someone that checks in, or like checking in with other people, definitely like it helps, because at least you know they're there to talk and stuff. Like, you don't even need to
Mhm.
talk about the problems to talk to someone about like simple
Mhm.
things that can help. Because sometimes if you're not having like the best with like your mental health, I'm guessing you like feel alone, like you can't talk to anybody. So just like talking to someone about little things in life can help you slowly get to be able to like feel comfortable with talking about the actual like genuine problems.
Yeah. What would you say to somebody? You mentioned earlier that you're grateful for the gospel because it helps you not feel alone. What would be your advice to a young person who maybe is feeling alone?
I guess remembering like that you like God is there, people you
Mhm.
lost up there with them, hopefully. Um, um,
I don't
like
know. We might have a few family members that didn't make it.
maybe, yeah. But like even just talking to a friend can sometimes remind you that they're there,
Mhm.
because like I know, like I've talked to my friends, and sometimes I always try to check in with them because some of my friends have had bad problems in the past,
Mhm.
or like just random bad things happening. And so like I'm like I don't know, but I kind of always in the morning I'm just like, hey, how you doing? You want a hug, kind of thing, just checking in, and just doing that I think helps them know. So
Mhm.
like being like, oh, finding like, if people, this is more of advice to people who think their friends having a hard time, but like just checking in with people can help them not feel alone. So like
Mhm.
sometimes maybe you checking in with other people will help you not feel alone, and like maybe that'll help other people check in return. It's kind of like a just talking to people in general, I think, is a good thing.
That's awesome. It's very nice of you, Piper. I'm always impressed with you. You're coming into being a really amazing young woman. And one of the things I like about being a dad, like I've said this before on this podcast, because I know you listen to all of my podcasts, uh, but especially the wrestling ones. But I this is probably my favorite time of being a dad. because you guys are all becoming such amazing people. And it's fun. It's hard being a parent, it's hard being a parent because like I have to parent all four of you differently. Like I have to, you're all different people. You respond differently. And I'm not always the best at it. I know that, but it's just fun to watch you guys fall in love with things. It's fun to watch you guys become passionate about things and start developing opinions and develop into the human that you're eventually going to be. And it's really fun to watch. And I'm so proud of all of you, but especially you, about the young woman that you're becoming. I'm just super impressed with you. And I know you're going to do great things. I used to say when you were younger, when people would ask, because, all of you have at times have given me this gray hair that you see in my beard. And
It's white.
It's
here. It's turned white already.
yeah, well, that's how much stress I have with you guys. No, but the thing is that I always knew, even when you were, if you were struggling the hardest, or I was having a hard time with you, I always said, no matter what, I know that she is going to be okay, and that she is going to do amazing things. Because as I said earlier, sometimes you get your head stuck on something. There's no deterring you, and that is a huge and as a parent of a 14-year-old girl, that can be very, very hard. But when you get out there in the world and you have your mind set on something and you're determined, that's going to be your biggest asset. No one's ever going to push you around, and I think that's amazing. And so now, talking about the things that I know you love, I'm going to finish this up with some dad jokes. You ready? Here we go.
Now.
Did you hear about? Hold on. Just listen. I got 3. Hear me out. Did you hear about the red and blue ships that collided? All the sailors were marooned.
I knew it was something that had to do with purple. Yeah.
I thought you'd like that one. You're purple. You like purple.
A tiny bit. I don't know.
Did you hear about the teenager who failed his driving test?
Austin?
He thought it was a crash course.
Oh.
Okay. Those weren't very good. How about this one? So you hear a lot about Pop-Tarts, but why don't you hear anything about Mom-Tarts? It's a problem with the patriarchy.
Oh. we need to buy Pop-Tarts again. Mom doesn't like this. They're unhealthy.
All right, I'll put them on the list. All right. Well, okay, Piper, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions to wrap this up that I ask everybody, okay?
Okay.
So the first question is up to date in your 14 years of existence.
Almost 15.
Almost 15 years of existence. What would you say is your biggest success in life?
I don't know. Because I like, when I get asked these things, like my mind kind of like blanks. I probably can't think of these a lot. Like I can remember the weirdest thing from when I was younger. I can't remember a lot of like random things from it. Mm-hmm. So honestly, I can't think of one right now.
Can't think of a success?
Well, it's like, I know I've done things, but I can't think of like a greatest success thing, Because
what is something you're the most proud about?
I don't know. I guess when I was younger, doing that art thing in Wyoming, I guess. I don't know. Well, I guess the Lego building one we did. How me and Evelyn worked on that big old Lego castle thing. I don't remember what happened, if like we won or not. All I know is that we did it. It took a while. We went over there multiple days, probably slept over once, and worked on it. Yeah, I don't even know if we turned that one in, but it was pretty good for a little young me.
Yeah. What would you say is your biggest failure in life, and what did you learn from it?
I guess breaking my arm. and I learned not to jump off recliner chairs, specifically the head part. Because as a young child, I don't know. I don't remember
So
my mindset of maybe you should jump from here. All I knew is that I jumped. Don't jump off of high things. That's probably where I don't like falling from. That's probably where the mindset of falling from heights is really bad fear comes from.
fair enough. Last question. Um, well, I got a couple of questions. I've added a new one. Um, what keeps you up at night?
My brain, I don't know, just can't really fall asleep in general.
Yeah. Is there something specific you worry about?
Not really. It's just my mind is full of random like things. Like I'm about to fall asleep, and then just like the random thoughts. Just a big old jumble of things. Like I'm so tired throughout the day, and then I'm not tired at night, which is when I should be tired. And so like I'm have to like listen to music, and then it like kind of drowns that out and makes me more tired. So like you'll come into my room, and if I'm in my bed, but you notice I'm awake, a lot of the times I'm listening to music, trying to make myself fall asleep, and then I'll fall
Right.
asleep while listening to music.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, last question. So one day, years and years and years and years and years from now, you're going to pass away and there'll be a funeral and someone will give a talk, which they call a eulogy about
Mhm.
you and your life. What would be the one thing that you hope somebody says about you in your eulogy?
Mhm. That I lived a long life.
Good answer. Well, Piper Pipes, I
Yeah.
love you. I think you're great. Like I said, I meant what I said when I said I never, sometimes I know we clash. Sometimes I know I get mad at you and you get mad at me and we argue. But I've never once doubted that you're going to be okay, and I've never once doubted that you're going to be successful, and I cannot wait to see where you end up. And I want to say one other thing. I forgot to say this when you were talking about it. You said something really interesting, and you said that, well, I like art and I love it, but I don't know if I can ever, really make it as an artist. And what I would tell you is I've seen your art and it's pretty amazing. And if that's what you love and that's where your passion is, you should go for it.
Mm. I mean, there's other things that come up for ideas of, you know, jobs. So
Yeah. Like
yeah,
what? What are you thinking of?
I
Where
don't
do you
know.
hope
Think
I cheated, I lied. There's one more question. Where would you like to see yourself in 5 years?
well, 5 years, I will have hopefully graduated and gotten to
You,
college
I,
because the math,
I
you
hope so.
forget that I will be turning 20 in 5 years. So
Yeah,
probably
I know.
college.
Yeah.
Um, but like if you're
hmm
talking about future job ideas, is that what you're talking about more so?
No, I'm just curious like
I'm
in
just
five
saying,
years, where
hopefully I got into a college and am
I hope
passing.
so too. I hope you got scholarships.
Probably won't, but you did say you have saved us money, so.
I have. You got a little bit out there to help you. So what would you like to see yourself doing? What are you thinking
I
about
don't know.
wanting to do?
I mean, there's a couple of things that have come up, like certain random things that are definitely way harder to accomplish than others, like being an author, like acting sounds fun. But like probably a more reachable goal I came across because every year we do at school one of those like career test things, and it kind of like
Mhm.
changes every year with your answer. And one that comes up is like the art stuff because I like that stuff way more than other things. Like acting came up a lot, like singing, art, but one that came up a lot was like stuff to do with children, like either like a young children's like teacher or like childcare came up, and I thought that was
Mm,
cool. And then that got me into like thinking about foster care and stuff. So like maybe helping in that area would be a good idea.
mm, mhm.
Yeah, I've
So
wanted
let
to
me
be
just
with kids a lot. Well,
okay, so
other
let
kids
me
that
just
aren't my siblings.
okay, so first of all, I love that. I love that you want to work in foster care. I'm on the board of the Children's Receiving Home, and I could definitely hook you up with some people if you want to volunteer over there anytime. But But the other thing is that I just think you are quite amazing, and I think you're doing a great job, and I love you, and you know, I just, like I said, I can't wait till you pop up. And if you want to be an actor, you can. Okay, so if you wanted to be an actor, if you wanted to go and be an author, give it a shot. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I love you, Pipes. We'll see you.
Okay.